Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, wherever you are. And good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. And on, good evening.
Good evening, Father Weyms, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching.
Okay, in case you're wondering why a Jesuit, me, and a librarian, is conducting this interview, well, it's because we are both ME alumni. No? Juan?
And Father Weyms is one of two, okay, ME alumni from Batch 86 who are Jesuit priests. The other one is Father Reneta Castacas, who is now Vice President for Higher Education in Ateneo de Zamboanga.
And Bon Totanes here is from batch 95, one of our host batches this evening. He was once a Jesuit candidate. That's a term we use for people who once desired to become a Jesuit, but eventually made a better choice. And that better choice for Bon is to take his license or to get his license as a librarian.
The third ME alumnus, who is also a Jesuit, is Father Mark Lopez, batch 96, who is currently pursuing further studies in the US. He will probably be saying Mass at next year's Fame Homecoming because it will be their 25th anniversary then.
The fourth Jesuit, who is also an ME graduate, is Martin Candelaria, batch 2013. He is currently a novice at Sacred Heart Novitiate.
So Von, alam mo ba ang gagawin natin ngayong gabi ay hindi pa nangyayari kahit kailan.
Talaga, Father Weyms? Ano nga bang mangyayari ngayong gabi?
Well, we have guests tonight and our guests tonight are come together for the very first time. They have supported our management engineering program through the years. But it is only now that three presidents of the Ateneo de Manila University have agreed to be interviewed together.
Wow, our fellow ME alumni might certainly describe that as unprecedented. I know that Father Ben Nebres was president from 1993 to 2011. Father Jett took over until 2020. And Father Bobby was installed just this year.
Okay, meron pa akong trivia para sa iyo. Did you know that they have something else in common aside from being former and present presidents of Ateneo de Manila? Aside from that, all of them were also president of Xavier University in Cagayan de Oro at one time before they were appointed as president of Ateneo de Manila University.
Oo nga, no? Maybe we should ask our viewers to compute for the probability of that happening consecutively. I suspect that our fellow ME alumni will conclude that that's statistically improbable.
ME major ka nga talaga, no? I've forgotten that na, no? Father Ben, you were with the math department and you were also dean during the early years of the management engineering program. And I wonder, no, what comes to mind when you hear the management engineering?
My best memories of ME are really the pioneering batches, because in the early years of ME, it was just a small office beside the math department. And so the ME students were always inside the math department. And of course, Father Wally Campbell and Dr. Mary Jo Ruiz were both in the math department. The founding father and mother of ME were both in the math department. I remember especially teaching what's actually the pioneering batch, among them Ben Kukok and legendary Fred Lowe, in a summer course just before they started ME in 1964. So I remember teaching them that summer. And what I remember best about that summer course is I gave a very difficult homework assignment to the class. And I was very amazed, and I would say so happy to find out that Fred Lowe actually solved the problem very beautifully. And when I congratulated him in class, he said, "Father, I worked on that problem for 9 hours straight."
Wow.
I think in some ways that illustrates our memories of the ME, especially maybe in the early years when I knew ME best. Talent, persistence, and hard work. I only found out recently from Carlito Chua that they nicknamed Fred Low Yahweh. I have to ask them later how he got that name. But he was really brilliant. He was really brilliant. Of course, I still teach ME students in the summer math problem solving course that Quina and I teach. And I still find a lot of hard work and talent and persistence among them. So I think that's been the reputation and the culture of ME as students. And that's what I remember best. And it's been wonderful to have ME students in my classes.
Father Jett,
Oh, yes.
4 ME valedictorians graduated during your 9-year term as president. What is your best memory of ME students?
Oh, well, yeah, I think it all began with the group of Ken, Abante, and Del Villaferte, Ryan Yu, Lionel. Uh, well, first, they are multi-talented guys. These students of ours are really endowed with so much. And what struck me though is that many Ateneans, of course, are multi-talented. There's spirit, there's passion. Ken at that time also eventually ended up in the Department of Finance in his early years. So and he has done a lot to also invite people, Ateneans especially, to work in the public sector, in government. So it's not just, it's not the same thing as if you're ME, then you go to the private sector, the corporate sector. So there is something there is a hunger, I sense, which is something that I think we share. The Jesuits and our Ateneo students, there's always a restlessness, a restlessness to matter more in the lives of others. So I've seen this in not just our valedictorians, really, but in our students. And I also see this in our young stalwarts who are now in various places. So I salute them. The valedictorians represent the Ateneo, pero I know that there are more students. There's students who are not just in the mold of these valedictorians who are trying to make a difference now. So the tradition continues. I'm glad to see them always asking the Magis question.
I remember that I was living in Cervini. I had roommates, and I think that was the year they talked about SMEG,
Oh.
for ME graduate, and that was the big. Even they were just first year, but that was a badge that they always carried. And I remember some of them when after about second year, and they weren't sure anymore, and it was such an agonizing time for them to accept that maybe they had to shift course or something. I also, of course, remember I did Echo H, so I had some calculus courses with them, and certainly very impressive, very hardworking people. I agree that Magis, and again, I think the sense of two things. I think service is very important. I think they've become leaders. We can name many of them leaders in private sector, but I'm also very impressed by ME graduates who have gone to social development work. I think of Jean Caraos, who has worked at ICSI, our Jesuit Social Center. I think of Nandi, for example, started with Nandi Aldaba, started with Workers College and Community Center for Community Services. I think of the late Rico Garde, for example. These are people in my year around the time. Rico Garde, who also worked for college. So they were there, and then they also went into um, into social development and that sense of service, which of course men and women for others and with others, very strong in the Ateneo, and you can really see it in the MA graduates, not only of my generation but even in the generations that followed. Also, I think I'd like to say that in some sense, Emmy is really embodies some of the best qualities of Ateneo, not only very sharp competencies in management, in analysis, in quantitative things, but I think also the core curriculum, the liberal arts, the humanities, which promotes critical thinking, clarity of thought, effectiveness in communication, some depth of thought and imagination that is expected the Ateneo. And it's always remarkable that the ME graduates don't only do well in math and in operations research and in ME subjects, but also do very, very well in the core curriculum. And I would like to think that has really also helped them uh, in their careers, in their lives, in their vocations.
I actually think I did better in the core curriculum than the ME subjects. Anyway,
I remember that Smeg, no, sure ME graduate. Well, I remember that was, I think, the first semester of the third year.
yes, yes.
Worked hard, because once you're over the hump, you're a sure ME graduate. Thank you for reminding about that, reminding us about that, Father Bobby.
Father Ben, when Ateneo de Manila celebrated its sesquicentennial, you set up the 500 at 150 scholarship fund. How did ME Alumni help you with that and other projects during your presidency?
Well, I think during all those homecomings and celebrations, we're very aware that the ME group was really the most organized and most generous in working together to raise scholarships, which was a major goal for our sesquicentennial, our 150th anniversary in 2009. And I would like to say that I think part of the background behind that is the very strong sense of community and family among ME alumni. I don't think that's accidental. I think you ME graduates should really remember how much you owe to Dr. Marijo Ruiz and to the longtime secretary of ME, Grace Benati. I know that they kept in touch with you, wrote you letters, congratulated you, and you got promoted. And because of their efforts, ME graduates have maintained a sense of family and community throughout the years. And so the ability to respond for when other ME alumni are in need, and then to respond to the need of the university to increase the number of scholarships in that time. I don't know, I wouldn't say it's easy, but the culture was built of community and family and giving. So aside from the generosity in terms of raising the biggest number of scholarships for a batch from the ME group did that, I'd really cite that contribution of continuing a sense of family and community beyond college years, all throughout your professional careers. It's something that other departments now are trying to achieve, but that's not easy to achieve. I always tell them that you owe very much to your founding mothers, Mary Jo and Grace, who nurtured you and made sure you kept in touch with each other and they knew what was going on and built you into a caring family and community for one another and for the Ateneo. I think that's part of the culture that we seek to build in the Ateneo. To care for one another and to care for those who come after you, and because that is the foundation of everything. That is the foundation for eventually becoming generous and for caring for others. So I would like to cite that as a very particular contribution of management engineering to Ateneo culture. That I don't think there's, without being unfair to other majors in the Ateneo de Manila, I don't know any other group that has remained as cohesive and as much a family and community as ME. And as I said, you owe it to your founding mothers up to now. And you should really thank them from the heart for that. That's what I'd like to remember in very particular about management and engineering. Aside from what Father Bobby and Father Jett have said, that you've contributed a lot to the outside world, that is well known to very many. But perhaps this sense of caring and community and family is not as well known. And I think that's something I'd like to highlight.
Thank you very much, Father Ben, for reminding us about that. And Bon, no, maybe we should consider instead na fame fam na lang family. Let's drop the E.
Very millennial, fam-bam, ganon.
Okay, sige. Let's now go to Father Jett. Father Jett, Ateneo was constantly in the news during your term, no? From it, we were the news, the media, they really picked up a lot of things from us, from politics to sports, and you have become really a media personality now, no? And I believe that there are a lot of Emmy alumni who were able to help you through all these issues and all the concerns that came up in the media during your term. No? Maybe would you like to talk about that, or how the ME alumni has helped you?
Oh, well, first let me just let me go back to what Father Ben also said about this atmosphere of caring, this culture, and I've sensed it, especially, and I've been through a number of fame reunions. Iba, I mean, I don't see this in the other groups. Perhaps it's also because of what people have gone through. I'm thinking now of, I think sometimes it helps the program itself that you've experienced together. It's what bonds you. When I attended that one fame reunion was well, again, about scholarships, but before that I was doing beer pong for the first time in my life. Seeing about and I noticed that the camaraderie was intergenerational. It was not just for my batch, and that was something consoling to see. I remember when ME was first invented, it was a 5-year program, and I think Father Campbell was trying to recruit students. I mean, who will want to come to a 5-year program when you could graduate in 4 years? I mean, everyone wants to shorten things now, right? And yet, so you see that those who at least enlisted in this program, they're serious about learning and being transformed. So I'm grateful for that discipline and that spirit, and I've seen that too in the companions that I've met while running Ateneo de Manila as captain for 9 years. I'm glad that I've met people like Jean Caraos, as Fr Bobby mentioned, and even ME alumnus Nandi Aldaba, who has also helped not just in social sciences. He has helped in various ways. There are many things in running this big ship. There are many quiet ways in which people serve, and I've seen this in our leaders, sila Darwin Yu, sila June Aguilar, sila Bong Olpok and Ali Yap, who are now with JG Song. So, and you mentioned, I think, Ray Aguas also, or even Ali Figueroa, who is in our communications group. So, and of course, syempre, Bon Totanes, who's our librarian. Bon became the librarian, I think, under my watch, no? Bon?
Yes, Father.
After Lou David, no?
Yes.
So yeah, you have these alumni who, Emmy alumni who I know, and I'm grateful to this. I know they're on your side. I think Bon knows this also. Our own trials. The university. So I'm really grateful that these alumni have taken the spirit of Ateneo, the Jesuit spirit, to heart. I mentioned also Chill. I don't know, Chill Gonzalez. She's also worked quietly the Ateneo, but I also worked with her in MWSS. And there, I saw the characteristic passion and this defiance or refusal to settle for what is merely mediocre, for what is merely good, for the mediocre. And I guess that's something that we should celebrate, that spirit. So yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to these people, to the Emmy alumni who helped in the leadership, helped me in the leadership of this ministry.
Thank you, Father Jett. You mentioned the words bonding, companion, passion. And I was thinking that could also very well apply to Jesuits, right? So maybe you were wondering what happens. I suppose it's something like what happens with Jesuits. You go through a lot together, eh. And kumbaga intense yung experience for a period of time. And so even 10 years, 20 years later, if you haven't met each other recently, parang madaling balikan. I mean, I don't know, you tell me. I mean, how is it with Jesuits? I'm pretty sure some of you you separate from the novitiate or after ordination and you don't see each other for a long time. Is it that?
Well, something happens in the foundational years, and for us, it's the experience of the spiritual exercises. And after that, I guess that knowledge or the interior sense that my brother is someone who also loves Christ, right? I mean, there is that shared conviction sense. And I think so too with with our alumni, particularly also the ME. Maybe the 5 years, it's no longer 5 years, 4 years to now, pero still, I think it's compressed. It's still intense. So, bakit ganon? I think, sabi nga nila, kung ang karne may katigasan, matagal pinakukuluan. So yung pagkukulo na yun, I mean, the being boiled together, being going through the same regime helps. But not only that, when you're scattered all over, I think it helps to come together every now and then, because that's another addition to the shared experience, diba? Especially now that, especially as you grow older.
Yeah.
I noticed that in my classmates. We're becoming closer now as we head to the twilight of our lives.
Yes.
And Bon, I think also it's really the shared experience in the, well, kami 4 years na, no? Where, the upper years, they really talk about the teachers and the courses and give us advice how we can survive that. And the SMEG, no? That one semester, that crucial first semester of third year. And also going through summer, we always had to take courses in summer, and then we do an internship in the third summer. So I think all those common experiences really has bonded us together. That we would like to come together. That's why we have this fame, no? We would like to come together every year to maybe to relive all these experiences and to continue the tradition, as what our guests have been telling us, no? That there is a tradition of really giving ourselves, of trying to work for excellence and being the best, and persevering through all the trials that we have to go through. I think that's also one thing that, just like the Jesuits, in our formation years, we always go back to the novitiate years, the years spent studying. I think that's one of the things.
Salamat, Father Weyms. Let's move on. Father Bobby, you're taking over at a very difficult time. How would you like ME alumni to help you in the coming years?
Yes, thank you. It's certainly very unusual to begin. It's really strange walking down the campus, and it's almost like a ghost town. The nice thing about it was We have egrets already in Bellarmine Field. So while COVID might not be good for humans, it sort of helps the environment also. But anyway, yeah, how will ME alumni? I really have one request. Is really requesting the ME alumni to please continue to engage with your alma mater, continue to engage with Ateneo de Manila, with the university. Uh, and the engagement really comes in many ways. I think, for example, of like how the world has changed very, very much, and things are really moving very fast. And I think in education, we're really realizing that that lifelong learning, continuing education, is very, very important and almost necessary. I think there's a university in Singapore that says that when they welcome their freshmen, they say, "You are our students, not just for 4 years or 5 years, but for life." And I think that we're starting to realize how important that is. And I'd like to invite the ME alumni. There's much going on in the university, especially now that much is online. We have magisterial lectures, for example. Father Ben has given one, Father Jett. Different people have given magisterial lectures produced. It's available in YouTube. We have many webinars and seminars on the different topics. We have, and even I think ME and the School of Management, they conduct different seminars and talks. So to engage back with the Ateneo for continuing education would be very important. And to tell us even what you think are important topics to you that you would like to, that you'd be very interested in, and we can certainly organize them. I talked about the Humanities Liberal Arts Foundation at Education. I hope you also continue with that to develop really depth of thought, depth of imagination. So please engage. There's much to be offered, and please also tell us what you would like the Ateneo to do in this area of continuing education in terms of seminars or webinars or even short courses. Um, I think lifelong learning is a real virtue. Second, I think when I heard about FAME, this one I was very impressed that FAME really pays attention to supporting the current ME students, especially those who are graduating. There is mentorship, there is looking help in the internships, there is advice, providing advice for careers, supporting for them. And I hope that continues. I think it very much follows that spirit of caring for each other, the community, the bonding. It's not only the fourth year helping the second year people, but alumni helping current students. I hope that can be really strengthened. That was really impressive when that was explained to us about how ME, about FAME functions. So in terms of mentoring, in terms of advising, in terms of supporting, especially ME students who are graduating as they leave the world of the school to enter the world of work. Again, that's an important aspect of engaging back with the alma mater. And of course, last, it's not the least, it's also important, but of course, we also appeal, of course, for generosity. The more scholarships we have, the more we can offer the people who really want to study ME and be able to come to the Ateneo. But again, it's really a part of this whole package of alumni engagement that the Ateneo would really like to support and promote. So I hope that ME alumni will respond to that. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Father Bobby, and for all our ME alumni. No? That's an appeal for us to engage the university again, the Ateneo, and also to do our part in trying to make this tradition continue, endure, as we have benefited from this tradition. We would like other people to benefit from this tradition as well. No? And that is an appeal for our support by just being in touch and engaging the program and the needs of the program. No? So with that, I guess that's about it, no, for our interview. And before we go, we would like to ask our guests, no, if they have any last words, any parting words that they would like to give our ME alumni who are gathered for the very first global homecoming, no, So you shall be addressing people all over the world. So maybe we can begin with Father Ben. Any last words for our alumni?
Well, I think our Ateneo and all our alumni realize that in these very difficult times, COVID-19 and all these tragedies or disasters in the Philippines, that our poor are getting poorer. The inequality is getting bigger across the world. And I would like especially to ask our alumni to make a special efforts to bridge that gap. And I'd like to cite the Emmy Alumni I know who have worked with me in the challenge of closing the poverty gap, which was one of my goals as president. So we mentioned Jean Caraos already, whom I've known since our college days. And recent years, Bam Aquino and Mark Ruiz in particular, who are alumni of the, I think, 2000, have worked closely with me in these areas. The need has always been there in our country, but it's even bigger now. So I do hope that Emmy alumni can take a lead in helping our country close this gap, poverty gap between rich and poor, and help especially the most vulnerable, which we see, of course, in the disaster that's hitting us, but also in the long-term problems of inequality and poverty in our country. I do believe that's the most urgent problem that we face as a country. And if we cannot make progress on it, then so many of our children will have no future, and our country, I think, will have also a very uncertain future. So I hope every alumni can really take a lead in that effort.
How about Father Jett? Any last words?
Sabi ko, last words, para naman akong nasa deathbed.
Okay, any
Parting words.
parting word? Parang ganun din yun eh. Sige, any words lang, any words, okay.
I go back to well, how Emmy began. If you ask, what is ME? It's something something not really understood. It's undefined. Probably it's closer to management science, but you can't put a label to it in a way. It's math. It's a lot of math, but it's more than just math. I think something of that spirit characterizes ME, the undefined. And there are many things that are very undefined these days. The future is not so clear and not defined. And I think it took some boldness on the part of Father Campbell and Marijo to innovate, to break new ground. They were not afraid. I'm sure there were counter voices then telling them, this is just an invention. This is just a fad. So I guess my point is boldness in this time, in this very undefined time of ours. And to echo Father Ben's concern, really it's a new world that's being created these days, so not to be afraid. But in building that new world, I hope that we always ask, how will we affect the poor, those in the margins? I hope that our alumni will always ask that question. How will this decision, how will this signature affect not just my company, not just my stockholders, but how will it affect the poor, wherever we are? So I just hope that we keep asking that question.
Okay. Thank you very much, Father Jett. When you said undefined, those mathematical, but you have defined it in a different way. Thank you very much, for reminding us to be bold in the face of what is undefined, because there are a lot of things that are undefined now. And guys, really we are being reminded that that we can help the poor, the vulnerable, not only by donating funds, but every decision that we make. Many of us are in positions of leadership, and many of our decisions will really affect other people. And let us be careful and be more mindful of the vulnerable whenever we make our decisions. I think that's a very good advice for all of us also. Thank you very much, Father Jett. Father Bobby, any words that you'd like to impart. I'm careful now.
I share the thoughts very much of Father Ben, Father Jett. I'd like just to say to the Emmy alumni, you are always welcome home. Father Ferios taught me a line from Robert Frost: home is the place where you show up and they can never turn you away. Never turn you away. And ME is your home, Ateneo is your home. When things are very tough, uncertain, ambiguous, volatile, come home. Come home when you need rest. Come home when you need renewal. Come home when you need to renew friendships with the people who care for you. If you need inspiration, come home. Loyola Heights is always very beautiful, although we can't come home yet during this time. But the idea is that this is your alma mater, the mother of your soul. And so come home when you need to. You're always welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Father Bobby, for welcoming us, no, and having the gates always open for us. So, guys, we are all welcome to come back to the Ateneo, either virtually through the different programs that we have, or physically even, no, when we are allowed, no. And Father Bobby has assured us that we will never be turned away. Kahit na walang gate pass, no? We will never be turned away.
Except during COVID.
Okay. Oh, not now, no? So I guess on that note, thank you very much to our three guests. Thank you very much, Father Ben, for taking time out, and Father Jett
Thank you.
in transition to his new mission, and good luck to you as you transition. And also Father Bobby, who is also transitioning but incoming, no? And then learning to and beginning to take charge of our university. Good luck to you, and we pray for you that you will survive everything and find it a very rewarding experience. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Bon, no, for being with us and sharing the task of interviewing. And we thank everyone, all the alumni, for joining us. And please remember, you are always welcome to be in the Ateneo, and we are challenged to continue the tradition of really being of service, of developing ourselves in the best way that we can, so that we can be of service to the vulnerable. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.